Greetings in the name of Jesus Christ. I'm just going to make a testimony. Some people want to hear this testimony, others don't, but praise the Lord for those who want to hear it. And I hope that it will be helpful to you. To be accurate, I don't know where exactly to start from, but I'll try my best to start from the beginning. And this testimony is a testimony about my life, my life after separation from Nephat Shumba. It's not an easy testimony for me, but praise the Lord, He will help me. So I'll manage to testify. Right, I can just say that since you did see the other videos, hopefully, this is an addition to that video. Right, when I had come here into UK and I'd separated with Nephat, I went I came to Sheffield. Then from Sheffield, I went to Essex, and it was a beautiful place with my sister and her family. It was so nice, like it was like in the countryside. Not exactly the countryside, but there were like farms around the area. So I liked seeing horses and, just enjoying the fresh air that was in the area in Harlow. It was very nice. I loved it very, very much. And then I had to leave because I couldn't stay with them for long. So I had to leave to go back to my old home in where we lived with Dr. Nephat Shumba in Coventry. So I went to Coventry and I found Nephat there, but he didn't want to live with me at all because we had separated. So I had to call the police, and they sent him out of the house, and he was the one who was still the tenant, but his name was changed later after a few months when he had decided that he couldn't continue paying the rent for me, and he couldn't pay the rent for me anymore, and he had stopped paying the rent, so he wanted me to pay the rent, so he had transferred the name into my name, the name of the tenancy agreement. So it was changed into my name, and I lived there with Chamomile as a child. She was doing well in school, yes, but not as well as she had been doing at the other school, at Chase Primary School. So she had moved to Frederick Bed Primary School, but it was nice. It was mainly for Indians and some black people, so it was nice, and a few white people as well. So it was a nice school for her, but she had been used to the other one. It was the opposite of that one, the other one where she had been to at Chess. But she got a few silver awards and she was happy. And some of Nephat's friends started asking me out, like how and Trust, but Trust, I said no to him. And Cow, I had to say no to him after some time because I realized it was not fair upon him because he had a partner, and also he was Nephat's closest friend when he was working for Ricardo company. I can't remember what exactly it was called, but it was called Ricardo something. I think Ricardo Limited Company or something like that. Privately, I can't remember exactly, but it was Ricardo. Yes, so Ricardo Company. So it was a very nice company, and Carl was from that company as well. So they were the best of friends. So I told him I couldn't continue seeing him because I had because he had a partner, and because he was also Nephat's closest friend at that time. So after some time, I stopped I did some type of jobs. I worked as a supply teacher, and I was still working as a supply teacher, and I was doing some domestic work as well, and some housekeeping at a conference center at the University of Warwick University, and I also did some picking and packing at Macro, and it was very nice. Yeah, I liked it because it was picking and packing of clothes, and there was also jewelry there that was sold, like rings and things like that. So I liked it very, very much, and I met somebody else there as well, and his name was Eduardo, but he it was just it was not working because he had a girlfriend who was also working at the same company. So, and because I was working for Blue Arrow at that time, and I'd put it at Macro, so yeah, the girlfriend who was also working with us, so it couldn't work. I stopped seeing him, and then there was Steve. I'm just trying to say the names of the boyfriends I had because somebody wanted to hear it, and a few other people may want to hear it. So there was Steve. Steve was from Soul Construction, and he came to my house, to where I was renting, to where I was a tenant, to repair the washing machine. So Steve came to repair the washing machine, and he wanted to see me some more. He wanted to take me to pubs and places like that, nightclubs, places of entertainment. And I told him, no, I'm a Christian, I don't do that, but I may consider seeing you. So he left me his phone number, and then I called him one of the days, and I told him that we can spend a day at home together. So he came to spend the day with me, and then afterwards I reported him to Orbit Housing, which is now Orbit England. I've forgotten their new name now. It's Orbit England, Orbit Housing England, something like that. And so they have a different name, a bit of a different name, but it was called Orbit Housing then, and he was very shocked. He said, I will lose my job because you've reported me. So I said, no, I hope you won't lose your job. I just wanted to let them know that, I don't think it's nice to go out with people you have come to work for or to repair something for. So I'm sure I understood it. And then I stopped seeing Steve, and then I was brought to Sheffield. To tell you the truth, I don't understand which one started first now. Whether it was there was a time when Nephat brought me to Sheffield, and there was a time when my brother brought me to Sheffield. I think it was Nephat who started first, yes. I think Nephat brought me to Sheffield, and then I went back to Coventry after some time. When Nephat brought me to Sheffield, it wasn't funny at all. It was very, very terrible because he was angry the day he came to take me to Sheffield, because he was saying that I needed to live with other people, my family members, because most of them were here in Sheffield, but in Coventry we had friends. We had loads of friends in Sheffield, so in Coventry, and my family was in Sheffield. So he just thought I needed to be with my family, and he brought me to Sheffield. And then I went back to, I think there's I can't remember the whole process now. I think There's a time when I went, okay, the other time I was coming from Essex, and then there's a time when my brother had to take me again from Coventry. I think I'd gone back to Coventry, and he brought me here to Sheffield. We're not talking at all on the way to Sheffield. My brother, we tried to talk just a little bit, but most of the time it was silence. We're not talking with my brother Farai. So he took me to his home, and then later I went to live with later I went to live with my sister Claudia. So I lived with my sister Claudia for a longer time, and then after I lived with my sister Claudia, with my brother Fry, it was all right, but it was a series of ups and downs. It wasn't we were not very happy together. So I moved afterwards to live with my sister Claudia, and as I was with my sister Claudia, it was better. I went back to work as a carer, and after some time, after I'd been into hospital, because when I went to live with my sister Claudia, I had been brought back from Coventry Hospital because at that time I'd come from my brother Fry's, but I'd been to Coventry Hospital before I was transferred to Sheffield, because that's when I was transferred to Sheffield for good in 2005, because for for a long time up to now, because my sister Marjorie thought I should be transferred to Coventry, to Sheffield, because they had taken me into hospital when I thought my daughter was the one who was supposed to be in hospital, because my daughter was very, very sick. She had been sick for years those days, because a lot of things had happened that were making her sick from primary school, and she was catching diseases from school and things like that. So I had asked them to treat my daughter, and they said I was the one who needed treatment. And so they ended up treating me, and my daughter was taken to our relative's place, Nephat's relative's place, and in Manchester. And then I had to see her after I'd come to Sheffield, and then we had to go and pick her up from Manchester after I'd been discharged from the hospital. And then I went to my brother's place. I'm not saying something I left out. Then when I was at my brother's place, that's when my daughter was doing her maths, and I was helping her with her maths. And I think she had done some English as well, but I remember her maths now. And then when she was doing her maths, she got stuck at some maths, and I asked her what's going on, and then I checked. Then I saw about 3 5s or 4 5s. I think about 4 5s that she had written down. So I said, "How come you're writing these 5s? It doesn't make sense." Then I hit her in the head with her book, with an exercise book, and then she started crying. So my sister-in-law came and peeped and said, "What's going on?" And then I said, "I just hit her in the head and she's now crying." So she called not he. She called my brother. And then my brother came and he said, "What's going on?" And we tried talking it in another room. He said, "Come here." And we tried talking about it in another room. And then he closed the door, and we're talking, and it went on to a lot of things. It was a serious discussion that was very painful. And then my brother said, "Okay, I'm going to call the police." And I said, "But why would you call the police?" And he said, "I just have to call the police." So I went and he called the police, and 5 police officers came, and And as we were talking and talking, and I was shouting, the police were shouting. We were all shouting at each other and then at one another. And then one of the police officers said, "You spat on me." And I said, "How could I have spat on you when when I'm just talking?" So she said, "You did spit on me." And I said, "Okay, if I did, I'm sorry." So he said, "No, I'm arresting you for breach of peace." And I said, "Oh." And I started crying. So I was taken into the police car, and I was taken to a cell somewhere. I can't remember the name, but I gave the name to my brother so he knows the place, because I had to give him the forms afterwards. So they took me to a cell, a prison cell. So I was in a prison cell. Before I got to the prison cell, they took off my rings and my wedding rings, my bands, my wedding bands, and the engagement ring, and my phone, and they put me in a cell, and they made me dress in a gray tracksuit, and then I just it was very, very cold, extremely cold in the cell. And I said, "Could I please have some blankets?" I had to shout, to bang on the door and to shout so that they can hear me. So the jailer came with a blanket, and then it was a bit warmer with the blanket, but I couldn't sleep still. So I prayed and I prayed and I said, "Lord, help me here. I don't even know what's going on, but I need your help. Please, Lord Jesus Christ, help me." So later I heard Mary speaking, because there was something making a noise, so I could hear Mary speaking in the sounds. So she spoke to me some words, and then later King Jesus Christ came, and he came as an angel. So Mary said, "You have to kneel down because that is King Jesus Christ." So I knelt down, and then he was an angel, and he said, "I am Michael." So yeah, he was speaking in a very loud voice, and I knew it was God. So so he said, "Mercy, why have you been arrested?" So I said, I was said to have spat on a police officer, which I didn't do. So he said, "Oh, okay, if you didn't do it, then you'll be released in 7.5 minutes." So before he came, I'd been taken out of the prison cell, and I'd gone to talk to a psychiatrist. So the psychiatrist was very, very old, and with very big hair and a very big beard, and he asked me about my family and everything, and I told him that that I had been in a mental hospital, but it was my daughter was supposed to have been treated of other things, and I was put in a hospital. So so I said, "I don't see anything wrong with what you have done. There's nothing wrong with you. Haven't done anything wrong. You're just mad. That's all. So you'll be discharged in 15 minutes. So King Jesus Christ came later. After about 7.5 minutes, and he said I'll be discharged in 7.5 minutes time. So he gave me some verses, and and the jailer knocked and said, "I heard you talking to someone. Whom were you talking to?" So I said, "I was talking to Angel Michael." So he said, she said, "Oh, you're very, very lucky, because most people spend their time here for 4 days, they would be dead." So she said, "Okay, you can now go home." So she said the other police officers will take you home. So afterwards, she took me to the station, where they would give me back my stuff, and they gave me back my stuff, and I refused to sign where they said you have the right to a solicitor. So I'd signed two sections, and then the part where they said you have a right to a solicitor, I refused to sign it. So they said that's I refused as soon as I got there. So they let me go, and two police officers were taking me and said, "Is it okay for us to take you back to your brother's place?" So I said, "Yes, it's all right. That's where I want to go to, and that's where I left my daughter." So they took me back to my brother's place, and a female police officer and a male police officer. So they took me there, and they gave me a form that I'd filled to give to my brother. So I gave it to my brother Farai, and afterwards we lived for some days together, and then I left for Claudia's place just before Christmas time. So I went to Claudia's place and we celebrated Kamoma's birthday, and then I think we went back to my brother Farai's for Kamoma's birthday, yes. And then I stayed with my sister, and then I went to Kewek. So when I went to Kewek, I was working for Hazelden Nursing Home, and it was very, very nice, but people were dying. It was just so bad. People were dying there, but that was part of the work. And then I stopped. Then I stopped that job. Then I went to live with my sister. Then I started studying at Sheffield Hallam University, and then I met before I went to Sheffield Hallam University, I met David. Yes. David. So I met David Odudu, and then David William Odudu. So he's an estate agent. So yes, he was my friend and my landlord at that time when I was at when I was I think that that time I think I was now at Newfield. Was it Newfield? Not Newfield. I'm sure it was Homewood Nursing Home. I think it was Homewood Nursing Home. Yes, it was Homewood Nursing Home when I met David. So he was my friend for some time, and then he had some children. He had a child then, and we were friends for quite some time. And then after that, when we stopped being very close, I met another Nigerian, because David was a Nigerian. So I met Nigerian and Jamaican. So I met another Nigerian, and he's the one who led to the breaking up of our marriage, as in divorcing, to the final state of the divorce, because I was seeing someone and Nephat was also seeing someone. Nephat was seeing someone at that time, and I was seeing Frank. So my solicitor said, "You can go and live with Nephat." But I said, I don't think it's worth it. We'll be just fighting, because he's living with somebody else. He was living with somebody else at that time. So I was living with Frank. Not living, I was seeing Frank. I didn't live with any of my boyfriends. The only one who tried to live with me was later. To live with me. Oh dear Lord, I'm sorry. I want to say to live with me. The only one who tried to live with me was a bit later. It was so Frank, because of that, because I refused to go and live with Nephat for some time, the solicitor said, "So there's nothing else I can do. You have to divorce." So she said, "Since you are both agreeing to divorce, you and Nephat, he was still Nephat then. He was not yet a doctor." So he said, "Since you are both agreeing to divorce, you can, if there's anything to share, you can share it." So we found nothing to share, because they'd already given me property, like furniture. They'd already given me furniture, and he and he had a car, so we said we cannot take away his car because he uses it perhaps to go to work and also to earn some more money. So we couldn't take his car, and he had no money to give me either. So she just said, you can just share your child now so that she can spend some time with either of you at different times, arrange times. And so that's all that she managed to do for us, and to let us divorce as well. So we divorced, and then I met Amin. Before Amin, I met what was his name? Oh dear Lord, I'm forgetting his name now. The one I met before. ah no, it's not trust. No, it's Trinos. I knew it was a T name. Yes, Trinos. I made Trinos. And then Trinos was Zimbabwean. So I thought, I can give it a go, and have another Zimbabwean in my life. And it didn't work out. It broke my heart so severely. And we just went out for a short time. And I just said, I won't stay with Trinos at all because he hate me so much. Within a short time, we didn't go out for a long time. And then I met Amin at a bus stop. And we're together with Amin for 10 years now. We've been together with Amin for 10 years now. And yes. So we've had our ups and downs with Amin. But we've been happy together. And I did meet Tony after Amin, during my time with Amin, after I'd already met Amin, Tony, and I told him I had a boyfriend, so we didn't stay together. We didn't have a serious relationship with Tony. And then there was Michael Milton, and we didn't have a serious relationship as well. We tried with Michael Milton because Amin had gone back to his country, but he came back, and we broke up. And when we broke up with Michael Milton, I told him I'd got another Christian man, because he was Christian, Michael Milton. So I said I had a Christian man, and I was talking about Colin Davis. So I had his marriage, so I didn't go out with Colin. And then I met and then after Michael Milton, Amin came back. So Amin came back, and he was very nice to me because I helped him to come back into the country. So he came back into the country because he had gone to his country. He was having some problems, and he told the solicitor that I was here and that we were getting married or something like that, so he was allowed to come back for me. So he came back, and he stayed in the country, and he's still in the country. And then so that's it, until I met Prince Andrew. I met Prince Andrew in 2019, and we were together. I met him in 2020, yes, 2020, yes. In 2020, and what? In 2019. Okay, it was in 2019 into 2020. So I was seeing Prince Andrew for 1 year. And Amin then came back after Prince Andrew. And then those are all my boyfriends and the stories. And I'm now here. I'm working for Mercy Hair Limited, my company, and it's doing quite well. And teaching personnel. So that is the story. And I hope all of you wanted to hear it to be very, very happy. It was not easy for me to say it, but praise the Lord that I managed to say everything. Bye.